I'm Donna Michelle St. Bernard. Awesome. Heather's joined us. That means the folks have joined us too. Hi, a literal plant. I'm Donna Michelle St. Bernard. I am coming at you from the traditional territories of the Erie, Neutral, Wendat, Haudenosaunee, and Mississaugas. The territory that I'm on is part of the Dish with One Spoon territory, through which we all are implicitly committed to caring for the environment, the resources, and each other. In the opening of the Community Justice Forum, which we are now at the closing of, wait, just pause for we made it. We made it. Here I am still standing, and so are you. Shawnee Sodi shared a really insightful land acknowledgement that evoked the environmental impediments and destruction done by the physical structures that uphold the digital platforms that we are meeting over right now. Hey. And I thought that was a really poignant place to start thinking about the broader impact of our existence and our interactions and our presence here. And just like really important to not think about this internet that Al Gore has given us as an invisible thing that doesn't touch on actual things and people and lives and lands and waterways. And as we come to a close, I want to add to that consideration that what's happening in Palestine right now and the actions in solidarity taking place, some really exciting stuff happened, I believe, yesterday down at Nathan Phillips Square. Do we still call it that? Sorry if we don't. To everyone except Nathan Phillips, I guess. Those kinds of actions in solidarity are really important, being visible and vocal and present for things that may not affect you directly is really important. It's a really powerful thing that you can do, to bring balance to this universe of ours. And that while we are fighting for the sovereignty of others, that we not forget where it is that we are and what it is that we are doing here and how that impacts the place that we're in and the struggles of the folks whose territories we are currently existing on. So I guess kind of an undercurrent throughout the Community Justice Forum for me has been consistency of our principles, of the way that we stand up for people elsewhere, and how that is reflected in the way that we treat people here, both in our interpersonal engagements, but also for those of you who engage the practice of land acknowledgements, thinking about how your land acknowledgement is exercised in your behavior, in your solidarity, in who you show up for and stand up for. Thanks for showing up for us at the Justice Forum. Thanks for being part of this conversation. You may notice my lighting is better, thanks to Charlie Petch, who texted me right after the first event, like, how do you feel about lighting notes? And you know what? I loved them, and I appreciated that. That's real good looking out. So out here on Dish with One Spoon territory and out there wherever you are, let's take care of each other. Let's stand up for each other. Let's be consistent and have open hearts and minds. I'm going to see what happens right now if I try to get these AirPods in. I'm going to try my best not to lose you. Try not to lose me. Okay. I feel like I'm okay. How are you? Holler if you're still with me. Holler if you're fine today. I'm really fine today. This is the day that we get to look back on all the hard work we've been doing. Thanks, y'all. I appreciate that. And we get to reflect on what we have taken in and we get to be thoughtful and considerate about what we're going to be putting out, which is sort of part of what this whole thing has been about. So New Harlem Productions initiated the Community Justice Forum as a vehicle of research and public discourse around themes of justice in support of our workshop development of my play, The First Stone, which starts, tomorrow morning. Holler, First Stone team. There are so many of you, and it's going to be so great to see you and hear you tomorrow. But before jumping into that work, we wanted to talk to you and hear from you and be with you and think deeply about our own accountability and how justice is enacted in our processes, in our rehearsal rooms, and in our engagement with audiences, community, and the world at large. What is our job? Shawnee, if you're out there, which I totally know that you are, I would love for you to jump on with me and take a little look back at the 2 weeks that we've had at the Community Justice Forum. Oh, damn. I love it. So Shawnee Sodi has been our artistic associate, associate producer. Hey,
Yes.
for
Hey,
the
how's it
Justice
going?
Forum and the workshop. Yeah, Shawnee, how are you? You made it. We all made it.
Well, I'm just stepping out of a counseling session, so I am feeling a whole lot of things. But overall, like being here, being on this day, like being at the report out, feels really great. Especially as I look back and I just go like, damn, we learned so much over that time period. And there are a lot of pieces that I feel lined up very perfectly, especially as I reflect on the first stone reading that we're going to be having soon. And I just started to start fitting pieces of what we learned in the forum into what you've written. And yeah, it feels like it works. What do you think?
I think it might have worked.
Yeah? Did you
Yeah.
did you get everything that you were hoping to do out of it?
Honestly, I got exactly what I needed. That's the truth. I needed to hear from other people and around things that like I think I know. Um,
Hmm.
and I needed to find out how other people see things that seem straightforward but can't possibly be. And I feel like a
Hmm.
lot of my notions were troubled in the last 2 weeks in a productive way.
Hmm. Yeah, yeah, and I think our polls kind of helps me get some of those troubles too, as well as clarification. But it was interesting, some things that came up, especially as we asked like around accountability. What do you normally do when you've done wrong to somebody, and what
Hmm.
do you normally expect when you've done wrong to somebody? And it was interesting how the majority of people, as like a small little example of the things that we're learning, majority of people were like, well, when I hurt someone, I my main action is to apologize. But what they said they wanted majority of the time is commitment to action, commitment
Hmm.
to doing something different. And I just think that that was really interesting and something that I did feel resonated throughout the Justice Forum. And I don't mean that in terms of we're all hypocrites. I mean that more in
Not at
terms
all.
of like we're all searching for those tools. We're all searching for those tools of like what do we do? We know that we hurt people, but like what do we do with it, right? And Nikki's workshop especially really stood out for me. Just getting that workbook. I think I'm gonna just start using that in everyday life. I don't know about you, but for real, yeah.
Make a slide for like a phone call with mom. How was I feeling? How did I exercise patience?
Exactly, exactly. Yeah, yeah.
That's awesome. Yeah, Nikki Sheffiula's accountability lab in 2 parts was yeah, doubly illuminating. I was surprised how just like how it blossomed out in the second part for me
Hmm.
into like I found myself making commitments that I was like, oh no, I wrote that down. That's the thing now.
Yeah, yeah. I felt myself doing the same thing, and just thinking a bit more about like how deep the action can really go, not just for myself, but for like community, and especially somebody who works with an institution now. works inside of an institution, because
Hmm.
Nikki brought that up, and I think that's a big conversation that we're starting to have, or no, that we've been having forever. I'm young, so I just think that we're always starting everything right now as soon as I walk in. But like how deep does this go in institutions, and how much work do we have to do in institutions because of it, right?
Hmm. Yeah,
Yeah.
and what is the role of the individual in initiating and sustaining that work in an institution? Because that's a heavy weight too.
Hmm. Yeah, 100%. Yeah.
Hey, while you're here, I
Hmm.
wonder if you can shout out some of the people who are doing the work that it has been vital but not visible during the forum.
Yeah, I mean, I feel like you've been shouting them out all the time, but Heather Bellingham,
What?
like,
What?
damn, stage manager, extraordinaire, extraordinaire. But we also had moderators who stepped in behind the scenes, and like moderators are fucking awesome, but also like, they never get mentioned, they never get seen. So
Facts.
big thanks to the folks at Why Not who stepped in, Michelle Yagi and Tom Arthur Davis, and then also from our friends at Buddies in Bad Times, Jack Costa and Steph Raposo. Um, that was a huge help because that meant that we could
Mhm.
run around and do other things. So yeah, yeah. Also our sponsors or our partners, our community partners who are there too. Buddies in Bad Times, of course. Why Not Theater. Native Earth Performing Arts was really awesome to have y'all on board as well. We have so many of them. NAC, Rumble. Who else am I thinking of? NIC, Rumble, Lemon Tree, of course. You can't forget those care packages. If y'all missed the memes, y'all missed a big important part of what this Justice Forum was all about. Who else am I thinking about?
Nightwood, and of
Nightwood
course, Canada Council, Ontario Arts Council, Toronto Arts Council, and Bill Millard. Uh,
and the Bill Millard, yeah, Artist Fund that helped me be here. So I really appreciate that. But yeah, so many folks that wanted to support community work, which is really
yeah.
awesome. And this way of like deepening how we connect to the work, which I don't know if I know that you're going to be hopping on with Lily Robinson later, but I wasn't too sure if this was in your things to bring up. But Lily Robinson remarked that they were interested by how much of this work was really for the artists versus how much of it was for the community. And maybe that's not like a ratio, but just how important this was just for the artists to be there and how much they take home at the end of the day. I was wondering, have you had any conversations with artists about how this has changed their either their process or their approach to the work?
No, no, I've been doing nothing but this since this, but the
Fair.
last poll that we put out is definitely looking for more general feedback, and we welcome anyone to I don't know, talk to us about all of it, but mostly we're just here to do the work.
Mm, yeah. Yeah.
I hear from the comments in the feed that you're looking good, Shawnee.
Oh, why thank you. I don't know who said that, but why thank you. I really appreciate that. It means the world to me. Especially on a day like this, especially when you step out of counseling where you're just like, yo, I'm a mess. I am a mess. But also step out super hopeful. So that's really good. Thank you. Thank you, Tiny Melinda. Hey, great handle too.
Yeah, well, I don't think you're a mess. I really appreciated your support getting this together. And you and I and Tom and Michelle sat in all kinds of meetings. I just want to also shout out how much they and you contributed to the structure and the functioning of this, and how much we are, as always, piecing together knowledge from many sources, and we're grateful for that. Also, shout out to Yvonne from Why Not. Thank you also for
Yes.
making me register justiceforum.ca so that it was a sayable link.
Yeah.
That has saved me many a moment. Cool.
Hmm.
Awesome. Well, actually, you just reminded me I have a little bit of accountability to do as part of my report out. So I hope that you are resting for the rest of today. Is that a thing that we do still?
That's the thing that I do on Saturdays. Saturdays are my days off. Today is my day in community, spending time with the people that I love and the people that mean the most to me. So, gonna call my mom, go for a run with a friend of mine, and then hang out with my partner, which
Mm.
are all really important things and things that the Community Justice Forum reminded me of, like how important these things are to do. And for me, that's rest in its own way. It's rest for the heart. Yeah.
I really appreciate that your day for the people you love included us. And I want to
Hmm.
give you one of my mom's sayings. Always tells me, and just told me yesterday, that it's the space between the logs that makes the fire burn. So do your thing. Have
Mm.
a good and gentle day.
Damn, that's a great saying. That's a really good saying. I'm gonna think about that
Yeah.
one. Yeah. Okay. Sounds great. Thanks for having me, Donna, and I'll talk to you later. Have
Yeah.
fun.
See you soon. Bye.
Bye.
Right. Shawnee did remind me some behind the scenes stuff. Heather, I don't know if you were planning on jumping on here because Heather's hands are always full. In my imagination, Heather's setup is like Penelope Garcia on Criminal Minds with a lot of monitors and several keyboards littered about, um, and a really good playlist playing way too loud. Um, okay, I'm going to talk about Heather. I just wanted to give you a second to jump on if you wanted to, because if I talk about you first, then you'll be embarrassed. I know what's up. It's the countdown. Okay. Well, Heather, without seeing you, I'd like to say you look great today. You've looked great every day of the forum for literally no reason. I don't get it. I have employed a wide variety of exciting hats and sweatshirts, and Heather has brought it on the daily. That's not the thing I needed to say. That's not accountability. That's just truth. Um, Mom, somebody loves you. I can't tell you who till later. Thanks for that. All love for my mom is warranted. Okay, so here's the thing. When we were talking about accountability, I thought about a really specific conversation that I had with Heather. So Heather Bellingham is, as Shawnee said, a fantastic stage manager, and she's already embarrassed that I'm talking about it right now, and has really just adapted to the needs of this digital environment to make things run smoothly for our panelists and to bring everything to you from every wacky platform we decided to use, and we're really grateful for that. Heather has worked every event of the forum, which means basically every day. And so here's the thing I wanted to talk about. Um, Halfway through the forum, we did a little check-in, like, "Hey, what's up next, and what do we need for that?" And I said, "Heather, what will we do if your head falls off? Because really, what though? I mean, I'm not set up to take over. I don't know. Um, I don't know. And the problem is this. I'm calling myself in for saying that to you, Heather. Because the problem is that when you tell someone that they're indispensable within your, you know, giant resourced operation, in this case, on our standard, this is an extremely well resourced action. When you tell someone that everything relies on them and that they're indispensable, then you create like this burden of saviorship, which means that like you can't take a day off, you can't rest, you can't blink. And that reminds me of how nice it is to work in a place where you feel like family, but how not nice it is to be told to feel like family. And family is that place where they expect you to show up, kind of regardless. And there's like this uh, a tether that is more than you should expect in a professional engagement. And so, what I wanted to say was, first of all, how rude. I'm sorry that I asked what we would do if your head fell off, because you should feel when you are working that if you can't, then that's an option. So, in the future, a way that I could approach that better is to engage more backup for you. And that's a thing that I'm taking note of. Um, yeah, nobody has to show up every single day except me, and I don't even. So, I mean, really? Um, we want to work in a human and a humane way that is accountable to our community, that recognizes that we work with people who have families, who have other commitments, that recognizes that we're all in a different places on different days, and that everyone who showed up through this forum, whether you attended or presented or made the trains run on time, everyone is doing all of that in a pandemic while supporting other people in their lives and getting presumably other stuff done that has nothing to do with me, like baking a cake. I really appreciate your time. I really appreciate your thoughts and presence here, all of you, every single one, and people engaging with the polls and the ideas. Okay, Heather's head falling off. That was one of my notes. Okay. Um, I wonder if Lily's around, if you feel like jumping on, I would love to hear what some of your thoughts and takeaways are. And anyone else, if you're with us on IG Live and you attended the forum and you want to jump on and like, shout out a highlight, I would love that. I would welcome you. We're here pretty cash today, and we are just reflecting back on what all it was and what it do. So Lily Robinson is going to be joining us. Oh, yes, I did do it right. Hey,
Hi, can you hear me?
sure can.
Excellent. This is
Talk
so
to
nice.
me. It's not bad.
Yeah, it's good to, I'm glad you're doing this sort of like community debrief moment. It's like, yeah, it's really resonant. And holy moly, that uh, metaphor about the logs and the space and the fire, I felt like I got kicked in the chest when you said
That my mom.
your mama. My goodness.
So yeah, you have been with us through quite a few sessions, and thanks for that. I'm
Mhm.
wondering if there's any highlights that you want to share with us for folks that didn't get to every single thing somehow.
Mm. Well, the thing I've been thinking about that felt like really a thread in the sessions I was at was like so much futurism. You know what I mean? Over and
Yes.
over again. And like from the literature night to like so much to Cyrus's workshop to um, all like I feel like it was touched on in so many different ways, and I think that's it was for me it was like delightful but not surprising because so much of this is around abolition, and
Yeah.
for me that's inherently futurism work, right? And and so the amount of references to different Afrofuturistic books and plays and things, and also indigenous futurisms, and for me, like, it makes a lot of sense as we're talking around getting away from carceral thinking, abolition, and all these things that we know that Black and Indigenous populations are so disproportionately represented in our prison systems. And so it
Hmm.
makes sense to me that those specific futurisms are sort of our roadmaps to how do we get out of this? How do we rethink and reshape how we live and how we are together, And yeah, so seeing that thread so clear, which is already like I feel like these days that thread is emerging very clearly of like futurism is like the thing on people's minds. And
Very.
yeah, but it was sort of like affirming to see it in this community context, of like not just people on Instagram being like, I'm writing a futurism book, but to be like, you know what I mean? Like to
Do you get a lot
actually,
of that?
well, yeah, maybe it's just the stuff I follow because I'm a nerd about this stuff, but like, yeah.
I'm looking for the titles. There's two titles that came up actually repeatedly.
There was one was on,
Octavia's Brood was one,
yeah, that's a fave of mine.
and the other one was Love After the End, an anthology
Mm-hmm.
of two-spirit and indigiqueer speculative fiction.
Yeah.
Yeah, those both came up repeatedly.
Yeah.
So apparently
Yeah.
that's where we're at.
And for me, like that, I think KP was talking about it, the intro to Octavia's Brood, how they talk about that all organizing is science fiction, and
Mm,
that we are living um, we are living science fiction for our ancestors, right? And like putting it in that perspective of um, for folks from the Black diaspora, like our yeah, like our ancestors in chains had to dream of to get through had to dream of a time when they would no longer be enslaved,
mhm,
um, with no reason to believe that. There was no reasonable reason to be like in their current situation to believe that they would ever be free.
mhm.
But we're here. We are living proof that that happened through, you know, blood and sweat and labor and time.
Yeah.
And so that for me is really inspiring. And another thing, I didn't get to attend the accountability workshops live, but I was listening back to the first part last night. And Nikki at one point mentioned this idea of like the practice of accountability in a daily way, and
Hmm.
how we have to take some of these big unwieldy ideas and bring them into our daily life as a practice, and in our relationships, like in a person on a person to person level, which will then, like I'm a big Adrienne Marie Brown nerd, and she talks about fractals and like the idea that the small will echo out into the large. And um, and I had been having another conversation with someone about the idea that in so many of these big conversations right now around abolition, around rest, around better ways of taking care of ourselves. It's like, which for me is really tied to all these same questions of justice. Um, that there don't seem to be answers these days. Like, we're all discussing what could this be, but there are not a lot of straight up answers. And what struck me listening to Nikki talk about the daily practice idea was that the answers are in the practice of it. That like
Yeah.
because these things are, so much of it is so um we're dreaming into things that don't exist yet. The only way that we get to the any kind of answers is by practicing it in relationship to each other, and seeing what works, and by trial and error, right? Like seeing
Yeah.
that's the only way we're going to get to the knowledge where we can eventually turn around and be like, this is how I take care of myself while also being an artist and an activist, that like this is how we get to abolition. Like that's the only
Yeah. I
way.
mean, that's basically scientific method, right? Like it's a hypothesis, experiment, outcome, do it again,
Yeah,
change a thing, do it
yeah,
again, change a thing, do it again. So yeah, it makes perfect sense. And I think what you bring up is really important, that like it's in constant practice and in forward motion. Like not having the answers, sitting in just not having the answers isn't the same as motion towards a solution, motion towards um, an answer as a finite destination is also maybe misleading because it's like towards greater clarity. So
mm-hmm,
today I have greater clarity than I had yesterday. That doesn't require that I say I have an answer today. I know something today I didn't know yesterday.
exactly.
So I think that is maybe a less frustrating way to frame it than a
Yeah,
place I haven't gotten to yet. I'm like not supposed to be there yet, actually.
yeah. And like Faye Nass talks about failing forward, that kind of idea. And Rihanna, apparently, I learned this through Adrienne Marie Brown. Apparently, Rihanna has a tattoo that says "Never a failure, always a lesson," and that's all that same idea, right? Put different ways. And the one other thing that struck me, thinking about all this, what is the group that y'all did the like video exchange with?
You'll read.
You'll Red, yeah. when I was thinking about this idea of like we don't have the answers yet, so we need to practice them. Then it struck me, I was like, okay, but also there are people who do have some of the answers, who have gone through some of this shit already. And for various reasons, that knowledge, their knowledge, has been obscured from us, has not
Mm-hmm.
gotten to us,
Mm-hmm.
um, until you're doing these like conscious community to community efforts like you've facilitated here, and and recognizing like, oh, some people have gone through shit already on a scale where they have had to create structures of repair, community to community, person to person, in this way that
Mm-hmm.
we in our society are now trying to imagine and get to, right? And so knowing, oh, these people, like when they're talking in that video about art therapy, and
Mm-hmm.
that one person, how that one like teacher at the organization or therapist at the organization, how impactful that is to see with these returned child soldiers, like the impact of art therapy on their healing. And like just these, you know, these little nuggets of information, these little roadmaps that are starting to blossom in other places or already have, that there are people do have this knowledge. We just have to like kind of find it. and and then we can grow on it from our own perspectives.
Yeah, I was watching a video by this a young white guy who went with kind of social enterprise build houses in Africa kind
Mm-hmm.
of trips, and talked about how they were instructed to discourage locals from helping, even though there were local adult professional builders, and these were 16-year-old boys, um, because they had to build the house. I'm like, I would love to see a picture of this house today. But but it's like this is really complicated picture that I appreciated him sort of taking apart of like, we think we're bringing money and that we're like, hey, we care about you, but we're also taking people's work away, building a terrible house, and really just coming home back padding for life. Um, and yeah, those kind of things, like to translate that sort of more that tactile example of house building into the realm of activism, and like how important it is to find people that are already doing the work and that understand how structures work and where
Yeah.
leverage points are, and not blindly follow them, but like look at that work that's been done. It's been done for you, and I mean those people don't work for you, so like
Mm-hmm.
there's like, I don't know, all of that to contend with. I think about that when there are like ways to um, show material appreciation if you read an article that is
Mm-hmm.
meaningful to you from someone. Those kinds of things I think are important ways of shifting the structures of like earning only through institutions. And anyways, yeah, the linking all of that back to YOLRED, which is an acronym of some kind for Youth-Led Restoration and Development. That's one of the things that's really special about that organization, which is based in Gulu in northern Uganda, that it is led by former abductees who
Mm-hmm.
are then designing from their experience what they think
Mm-hmm.
is needed by more recent returnees, and that as just a really important model of like self-determined needs and listening to the community, and sort of what knowledge we elevate
Yeah.
in various circumstances. Uh, yeah, and also the fact that those folks are there now after the, like, I think 108 at the height of the conflict. There were, I think, 108 NGOs in Gulu town, and I think they're down to like 6 or 7 or something, because it's not like the biggest story. It's not the biggest place
Mm.
to be. And so like because YOLRED is something that's rooted in community members who live there
Yeah.
and who are shaping like what they have to live in, it's really important, I think, to invest in those kind of efforts that are like, what's going to happen uh, when I'm not paying attention to this
Yeah.
particular work? Who's going to be doing it tomorrow and next week and so on? And like, how do we, not even just material support, but energize those people?
Mm.
How do we say like, Cyrus, I know you don't work for us, you know?
Mm-hmm.
How do we say, Raven, I know you don't work for us, and you're out there
Mm.
like doing the work, and I don't take that
Yeah.
for granted.
Yeah.
what is the support or upliftment that we can offer.
Yeah, and like in Cyrus's workshop when he was talking about this celebrating activists while they're alive. And
Hmm.
also, yeah, what I take from what you're saying is like this notion of reciprocity. Like even if
Yeah,
we can't be activists in that lens, how can we shore up those people who are always on the front lines, always putting their bodies out there?
hmm,
You know, I think we can be activists in different ways, but we also have to recognize the work that folks like Cyrus and Raven are doing is like that is the personal cost is huge. And
yeah,
and how can, when you're working at that level of dedication, that level of consistency, and so how can we who are a little bit more removed from that intensity of the work, how can we support them better?
yeah, yeah. That's what I wonder. Yeah,
Yeah,
that.
yeah, more
And then I
questions.
think in the same way that like a lot of people are now contending with how they benefit from white supremacy, I think we
Mm-hmm.
would do well to ask the same question about how we benefit from activism that we're not directly contributing to.
Yeah. Yeah. Oh, there's just one other thing I wanted to say when you were talking about Yolred and the idea of like those most affected leading the
Hmm.
organization. It also is inspiring me as a young playwright to see the work you're doing with the first stone and the whole this whole approach that you've taken like in this time of the
I just lost your audio.
I'm
Oh,
back. um just of that and with the whole 54ology, which I haven't read a lot of them, but that these are not your direct experiences, but you're sensing the importance and your ability to tell some of the story from your lens, as you say, and paired with an absolute deep rigor around um, research and around making sure it is as authentic as you can possibly get it and as true. Authentic is a hard word, but like,
mm,
so the dynamic of everything you've undertaken to be in real conversation with folks. Well, for one thing, you went to the place and were directly in conversation with folks who experience these things, who have directly experienced these things. Just that level of humility, really, of like, and also humility and boldness at the same time, of like, I think my skills as a playwright can help frame something that needs to be heard in this place, in this Western place. Um, but at the same time, I recognize I am not by no means the expert on this thing. So who are the experts who can lead this, you know? And that's really interesting and complex and exciting to me as a playwright thinking about these things.
it is all of those things,
Yeah.
interesting and complex and exciting.
Yeah.
I mean, here's to working hard if we can.
And also leaving the space between the logs so the fire can burn.
Hi, Mom. Yeah. Before you go, what are
Mhm.
you working on?
Oh, what am I working on? I have a piece that I've written a draft on. Um, that it's currently called Infest, like infestation. That I'm going to be getting speaking of consultation and talking to people who know things, like this is based on my experiences growing up in social housing, but it includes characters whose lives, are not my lived experience. So I'm going into a consultation process this summer on that. And I also have a little seedling baby idea that I'm not even gonna really talk about right now. But there's time travel involved. There's is again my seems to be my thing is like blackness and ideas of gender are a big theme for me right now. So going at it. Last mix was like kind of what is feminine blackness, and this one is kind of what is masculine blackness or black masculinity
Oh,
through a queer lens. So this is what is percolating.
I mean, you had me at time travel, but yeah, I'm there.
Yeah, and
I'm
I'm really
interested.
excited to be sitting in on the first stone workshop next week. 'Cause,
So excited for you to hear it. Hey, brace yourself.
yeah, yeah. Cool.
So cool. Thanks for being part of it, Lily.
Yeah, thanks for having me here. How do I leave?
However you want.
I literally don't know.
That's okay. Let's learn together.
You might have to kick me
I
off or
don't
something.
even know, like, I don't know how. Okay, here, let me see if I have that power. This will be interesting to discover. Let's see. No, I don't like that button. That doesn't look good.
Maybe I'll just leave and come back. I'll see you in a minute.
Stay forever. Whatever. X. Oh, wait, wait, wait. X at the top right.
Yeah. Okay.
Oh
Thanks,
no, I'm off
Donna.
center now. Awesome possum. See you soon.
Bye.
I have to be really careful because all my I have a lot of cords that are stretched to their limit, and if I move my knee too quickly, you'll see the part of the room I didn't clear. And I'm not really here for that. I'm not here for your judgment today. So let me just try to stay still, which is not my forte. Okay. So I'm just going to let you know one more time that if you attended any of the forum and you want to jump on and say anything about it, I welcome you. And until then, I've got a couple more takeaways for myself personally that I wanted to share with you that don't involve decapitation. Oh, yeah. Okay. During one of the conversations, the first stone conversation, I'd said something about incremental empathy. And I got an email from the first stone um, dramaturge. I see you. I see you. I'm coming right now. Isaac Thomas, who asked me what I meant by incremental empathy. And, I'm going to tell you in a minute because I got friends in all kinds of places. Nobody came here for my singing. Amaka was with us for Liberation Reading as a reader and for lots of other things. Hey, welcome, my
Hi,
friend.
good day. Lovely to see you.
Happy
Happy
end of
end of the
forum.
forum. Yeah. Wow.
Okay.
What an experience. I feel like the thing that I'm most or that I'm holding on to right now. I still have to go and look back at a bunch of the things that I missed, but I'm just I'm really uplifted by what's possible.
Mm-hmm.
I think I I have what I will call a very limited education. Um and I think a lot of the time personally I'm embarrassed by that, but now I realize that I don't have to be. Like I realize that like what I know is not nothing.
Hell yeah.
And what I have, hell yeah, is like a great deal of access and support and um oh, and also I'm thinking about like um poverty, like not
Mm.
in terms of like financial um resource, but in terms of like, I don't know, social resource, communal resource, um, what it means to be like rich. I feel like I'm a lot richer than I realized. Just like because there are so many amazing um, minds and hearts and uh, contributors surrounding me that I can just listen to. It's
Hmm.
teaching me to be a better listener. Um, Both to myself and to the people around me, the people that I admire the most. Um, but yeah, the offering that I received the most recently was Raven Wing's um, performance
Yeah.
in that Displace
Yeah.
collection, and I was so emotional. I So it's like, oh my God, like I forgot. Um, yeah, I think like I just get really distracted with like scale and kind of pomp and reach, and I forget, like it was just so simple. It was so effective. It was so still. Like I was anticipating movement was the most exciting thing to me. I just like had shivers like up and down the back of my body for the whole, I don't know what it was. I felt like I could have watched that for 80 minutes, and it might have been only 8. Really beautiful time. I might just need to watch it every day until you take it down. Like, as like my ritual, my altar to come and worship at. No, but yeah, it made me feel a lot of lovely and just deeply moving things. So thank you so much for making this available. I commend you endlessly for your generosity and your vision, and you already know I'm a fan. And thank you for inviting me to engage with Policing Black Lives.
Mm.
Um, yeah, yeah. I'm gonna be that one's gonna be with me for a while. I have to read the rest also because I had to read and rest while reading. So yeah, and I know you told me offline, like, there's all sorts of ways to respond to this, and so I'm thinking about that as well, because I find, and this is also what Raven's performance reminded me of, like words are kind of um limited, like
Mhm.
especially in English, I find, you know. Reading another book that kind of ties into this, but yeah, like we can say so many things and not even get the whole meaning out. Um, and then I was watching Raven and I was like, how can you write that in an essay? Like,
Yeah.
what could you possibly say that would be anywhere near to what it was like to just experience that? And I a few years ago, started saying like movement's my first language, because I think it's one of the ways that like can communicate so much more clearly and doesn't make me as nervous as when I'm asked to like talk. So yeah, I feel selfishly like my life is enriched. And of course, like I'm thinking, like, of course, the first word of this justice forum is community. So like from what was the first screening? Was it the first screening? A
A
common
common experience.
experience. Yes, thank you.
Mm-hmm.
Um, what were those questions? Like, where am I? How did I get here? Like, what am I doing, and where am I going? Um, those are just like bloop 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 bloop. Like it's spring. Those are just planted in the soil of myself, and um, yeah, I'm constantly constantly ruminating on that, and it's bringing me great joy and disturbance as well, in a
Mm-hmm.
good way.
Mm-hmm.
um, yeah.
Amazing. You totally knocked me speechless just by saying Raven, BT dubs.
Yeah.
Like,
Listen, you presented this
I didn't know the
piece.
power.
Yeah.
Like,
Well
immediately
done.
after, I was like, I should watch that again. And then I was like, you're not ready.
Yeah. No.
Also, the
No.
video
You're.
is still rendering.
What a gift too. Like I would have loved for this to exist in a live, like, real, whatever, three-dimensional format. But then you never get to watch it again.
Oh,
Like that was just
yeah.
the one day. So I feel spoiled. I feel spoiled with riches now. Um,
Excellent. Well, our
thank
work here
you.
is done. because all we ever wanted was to spoil you. Thanks
I
for
deserve
reading, and
it.
thanks for talking with us in Liberation Reading, and for sharing Awakenings, the Revolution of Love. That's
Oh
Mensa's
yeah.
work.
Mm.
You always bring me a good recommend. And then I brought you in, uh, oh, I brought you in with Garth Brooks. I still feel good about that. I still feel good
About
about
what?
that. Singing Garth Brooks as you were coming into the stream. I feel like
Oh, it
I don't know
cuts
if our
out.
trade is in balance.
It cut me out before I entered. So
Great, great. Then
thank
in that
you.
case, I was singing Angelique Kidjo,
Very.
Malika
Listen,
specifically,
any
and
song, oh, love.
yeah,
Any
let's say
song
it
is
was that.
welcome. Any song.
um,
I love the music you bring into my life. Thank you.
oh, stop it. Okay, before you go, I need to know what you're doing because you are doing right now.
What am I doing right now? Like literally in front of me is Midsummer Night's Dream, which I will be performing in at the Stratford Festival this summer. Universe willing, maybe.
Fantastic. Congratulations.
Um, Thank you. Thanks. And not unlike Lily, I also have a baby's idea um, that came to mind after I was listening to the misrepresentation of
Ah,
migrant sex workers in the arts conversation.
that
Um,
were a good one.
that was a really good one. Yeah.
Hmm.
And I felt charged, I don't always know like what I'm supposed to do. Like it's those again, those four questions, like what am I doing? Where am I going? Why am I here? Um, so feeling sort of aimless about that, but um yeah, I'm inspired. What I will say at this moment is I'm inspired by that conversation to add my voice, you know.
Hmm.
So so yeah, I'm doing some investigating around that conversation.
And
Yes.
twirling my villainous mustache. I'm so
Yes, I have a beard
excited.
coming.
Yes. Mm, mhm. You're playing right into my hands. Well, thanks for playing that way.
I'll be seeing you. I'll be
Yeah,
seeing you.
lucky me. Thanks for popping on, America.
Thank you. Thank you.
Um, X in the top right, I think. Awesome. Um, wow. Maka Ume is excellent, truly excellent. And yeah, that was a great highlight session for me. Hey, Naomi, what's up? Liberation reading. I am, as you know, always very excited by books. It's really weird that I don't have a stack of them here to force upon you. Okay, well, I mean, I'll show you this one. Oh no, it's missing the sticker that says it's Governor General nominated. So much to do. Okay, stunt. I was saying something before Amaka joined us, and I'm gonna jump right back on that. Um, yes, Isaac Thomas asked me, what did I mean by incremental empathy when we were talking with the creative team of the First Stone in First Stone Conversations earlier this week. And that was a definite, thanks, Naomi, um, a tangential wander to which I did not return. So when I was talking about incremental empathy, um, specifically, I was talking about a story that had been told in the conversation involving a father and a child, or a father and their children. And we all sort of agreed that we thought that was a sad story for a child. Um, and then we were considering looking at that story from the perspective of the father in the story and what it is as a parent to disappoint a child or to not provide for your children, and what that is as a human being to experience that. So it was in that context I was talking about incremental empathy, and what I meant was the distance emotionally that you will allow yourself to go to in relation to a story as a creator or an audience. Um, I think those are all the things. That's the world. And so uh, thinking about a defenseless child is difficult, but emotionally available to me to imagine someone who is not in control of the situation, and these are the circumstances that they find themselves in. But to imagine myself into the role of a person who has, by my own standard, failed to provide for people to whom I'm obligated. That is the distance of empathy that I had to go intentionally. I didn't automatically find myself empathizing with a father unable to provide. I automatically found myself empathizing with a hungry child. And so the incremental empathy is the empathy that allows me to go this far and no further unless I make an intentional effort to go further than that. Unless I ask myself in every story that I'm telling and receiving, who are the parties in this story that I didn't naturally adhere to? And what am I missing about the story by not having that perspective? So, or not attempting to step into that perspective, I guess I would say. And working with Isaac Thomas, who has been the dramaturge on The First Stone since days of yore, something that we are definitely, I think, aligned about is investigating the villain, so that there shouldn't be anyone in the play that does this, or much less this. And that's very hard in The First Stone, of course, because someone abducted these children and someone put these children in combat situations. Um, and so, yeah, the hard work is to genuinely ask why that person thought that was the thing to do and genuinely represent that in some way in the storytelling. Um, yeah, that we have to start from trying to see more than we inherently desire to see. Yes, it's that. That is the thing, I believe. So, Isaac, I hope that in any way clarified the question that you had asked about that. I want to remind you that we are reporting out from the Community Justice Forum, which was wildly successful by my measure, that being that it totally happened. And yet another wild flying leap here at New Harlem Productions. We like the way the wind feels at our backs. It's refreshing. And so, yeah, just reminding folks that if you participated in or attended the Community Justice Forum, and you'd like to jump on and share a takeaway, I welcome you, and I will probably bring you on. I will, if I can remember how to do it every time. It's not that hard. In the meantime, in between time, every time I look at this note card, I have to see that beheading note, and I'm just gonna tell myself that it was addressed, so I can move on from it emotionally. um, so yes, um, one of the things. So in Nikki's second accountability lab, something that she asked us was about a commitment that we were making, and I expressed a commitment to embrace imperfection. Now, you may feel that I was already doing that quite fully in my life. Um, and yeah, probably I often am. But in this case, I was thinking about this project, the Community Justice Forum, and other um, pieces that we want to do, other ways we want to engage with community. And what does it mean? Community, what does it mean to engage with the community who is in that community? And so the embrace of imperfection is sort of part of one of our, I guess, positions. We have all these positions. And it's around accessibility. specifically around broadening what our concept of accessibility is, that it means, in part, it means not universalizing our own experience or the experience we have access to. So a lot of people think things are like, oh, it's easier to gather now that everyone's online and we can reach people further. And in some ways, that's true if you like take into account time zones and if you take into account Wi-Fi access. If you think that we're all home, you know, and that some of us are not still leaving the house every day to work by necessity. And so in general, it just means not universalizing the experience. And so we did a lot of thinking around like how to be on many different platforms, how to how to have captioning when we can, and how to make sure that we were able to support panelists and attendees who didn't have stable internet or who were less adept, say with like the Zoomeries of what has become everyday life for some of us, but not all of us at this point. So thinking about how it isn't better for everyone to be on YouTube necessarily, or it isn't better for everyone to use captions, for example, as opposed to ASL, that those are not interchangeable accommodations. To be cool about time, know that people are in other places, and as I said before, have families and lives and jobs that they're working out at. And then trying to think ahead to things like how our material engages with screen readers, how our material engages with different technological aptitudes, and what are the ways that we can try to make that easy. And we weren't always successful, but we definitely always tried, and I embrace the imperfection of making the effort. And specifically, some of you would have noticed, and one of you was also kind enough to tell me exactly what I said, that in the opening of this event, I signed very badly. To let you know that I signed very badly. And apparently I signed that very badly. So you can always count on me to keep a promise. And one of the reasons I did that is not because I think I don't sign badly, and not because I think it's amazing of me to try to say 3 words, but because I sign terribly. And I don't know how to get better other than trying. And that I think that's like a lot of the work we've been talking about for the last 2 weeks of the Justice Forum, that doing it wrong in front of people is allowed to be a worse consequence than the work not getting done. So yeah, that's not what it's about, right? So you either want to do the thing or you don't. We either want to be out here in these streets making change or we don't. We have to embrace our own imperfection if we want to be in forward motion. As Lily was talking about a moment ago, doing our best, staying in motion and staying and listening and being observant to try to understand who's doing things in a good way and how we can learn from that, how we can incorporate good ways into our own process, but also not just follow a path that has been tread without understanding what that's about. Not be afraid to innovate on our own, not be afraid to be wrong. And yeah, just try. Can we just try? Y'all, can we just try? Saleh, what's up? I see you, my brother. Saleh is talking about On the Hill, which was one of the first 54ology pieces we ever did with choreographers Pulga Mishishoma and Vivienne Scarlett. And we created that piece in residency at Dance Makers. And I love that you remember that because I also remember that. It's not a brilliant video, but I feel like let's talk to the people in it and see what we can see about having a look at it. Just in terms of it's an archival video, so you know. But I would love to share that with you, Sally. That was a really interesting piece of work. Yeah, another sort of big ensemble work that's part of the journey of getting here, getting to doing something as big as the First Stone is trying to be. The first one's being directed by Yvette Nolan and Taylor Ben McCarthy, and it's got a world of people in it. It's really exciting. If you go to newharlemproductions.com, you can get information about the cast and the design team and the production team. There's a lot of us, and there's going to be more. And I really appreciate all the big thinking that is being done in our community and the access that our team has had to it over the last 2 weeks. And we hope to be able to invite you into this work soon, and that you will keep talking to us. Keep talking to us. Mom's not going to be home till late. I'm just kidding. My mom is totally home because that's where you're supposed to be. Good job, Mom. So, polls. I did a thread of polls on the Twitter box earlier. Take the polls. Polls are fun, nerd. Two, right now we've got the stuff up on YouTube up until today. So, run, don't walk. But we're looking at possibly doing some clips. Oh, and the report out, the other report out other than this manic thing. Hey, Jay, what's up? We have been pulling together some quotes, name drops, like books to read that were suggested by some of our panelists, songs to listen to that were suggested by our panelists that our panelists may have wanted to share, and we were unable to share with you due to copyright consideration. The Gather space is still open, so you can continue to take action in our community and beyond. You can continue to stand in support and in solidarity with prisoners, and with the families of incarcerated people. If there's a resource you're looking for that's not there, I might have it. I don't know, try me, email me, or whatever. I'm newharlemproductions@gmail.com, and or DM me on the Twitter, on the Instagram. I'm not timely, but I'm real nice. So I'm going to wrap up shortly. If anyone else wants to jump on and share a takeaway, you've got a couple more minutes to do that, and I welcome you. I'm really, really happy to see all of you who are here. And I want to also let you know that one of the resources in the Gather space that we're going to bring out, put links all over the place available to you, is for an ongoing fundraiser right now. There's a fundraiser taking place to build a cultural center as an artistic home for artists in Kalemani, Mozambique. The sole cultural space in Kalemani was lost to a fire, and our good brothers Saleh Almirante and Pulga Mashishoma are conducting a fundraiser along with others to build a space for the artists in that place to continue to gather and create in. I think it's really super important. I feel very connected to that place personally. Speaking of our polls, one of our polls was looking at motivating factors, what it takes for you to personally feel driven to be involved or to be mobilized around an issue. Anyways, in this particular case, not only do I think it's really important that we resource artists who are speaking out from places that don't have the kind of funding infrastructure that we have, but also personally, I feel very connected to artists in Kalemani and Mozambique, which is the first place in Africa that I ever set foot, thanks to Shakespeare Link Canada and Monster Movie Dance Theater Group in Kalemani. And that is where I met Saleh, and I think that is the second time I met Pulga, who did a lot of translating for me while I performed a great deal of charades. Damn, this thing has been just going on. So anyways, I would urge you to support that fundraiser. We've shared a lot of different actions, a lot of different issues over the past 2 weeks. It's not scattershot, it's all connected. There's a thread running through it all. And we wanted to explode out those ideas, big and small, around justice. I think sometimes it is overwhelming that there are so many things to do, that there are so many things to address, and we don't want to overwhelm you. I'm really glad that we were able to have a lot of very joyful moments throughout these 2 weeks. I'm really glad that people felt empowered by some of our speakers and performers. Everybody is moved by something, and I'm not going to tell you what to be moved by, but whatever it is, move on it. There's something to do. There's someone who knows what to do. There's someone who has the information that you need to feel informed enough to do it. So move on it. Tomorrow, we're going to move on the first stone, which is our attempt at telling a story in an ethical way that we hope has significant impact. We hope that you will come and see that story when we're done building it. Before I go, I want to shout out in a big way all the good energy for 2 weeks that we got from our MCs of the Community Justice Forum, from Lorona Sechuelo and Courage Bacchus. Want you to keep an eye out for them all over the place. I want you to know that the reason we were so pretty is because Lindsay Ann Black was making graphics for us all day and all night. And we're going to continue to be pretty just so long as she's around. And that everything that we did and everything that we do is made possible by our generous community. And we appreciate that. And we hope that we can be there for you too. I guess that's it. I'm finally able to look directly into this ring light without my eye openly twitching, and I'm basically done. Thank you. Thanks, Heather. Continue to have good and fruitful lives. Continue to put your energy in places where you feel that it is making a difference. You're great. And also, you all look fantastic today. Bye.